and welcome to The Actor and the Engineer. My name is Paul James. I am the actor.
And my name is Josh Knapp. I'm the broadcast engineer.
Here we go after a long period of time, Josh. It's been a minute.
We're basically like over a quarter of the way through the, almost a third of the way through the year. And so now we're going to talk about 2025, of course, you know.
Yeah, but that's kind of normal. This long of a period of time between podcasts is not normal because we're going almost 5 weeks now.
Yep.
We've gone a minute between podcasts, but never this long. So, hi, good to see
Hello.
you.
That's
Welcome
what
back.
you look like.
Yeah, I know, right?
So I did want to say before we got into our top, each of us is going to talk about our top 5 movies of 2025. And I know we've said this the last couple of years, I think.
It's been true, though.
Is that 2025 was a good year for movies. And I have a list of movies from like directors that we both are pretty, high on that had movies that came out this year. Steven Soderbergh had 2. Spike Lee, Paul Thomas Anderson, Ryan Coogler, Guillermo del Toro, Ari Aster, Yorgos Lanthimos, Danny Boyle, Ryan Johnson, Lynn Ramsey, Benny and Josh Safdie separately. Richard Linklater had 2 movies. James Gunn, Darren Aronofsky. Now, not all of them were like my favorite movies, but the fact that they were all releasing movies in 2025 in the theaters is pretty awesome.
And there's going to come a time way past our time when people look back and go, all of those directors had movies out that one year, all of those directors.
Yeah.
I mean, usually it's Coppola and Scorsese and, the 4 or 5, But all of those directors made movies this year. Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
No, it's
Incredible.
amazing. And a lot of them will show up on my list, and I'm sure some of them will show up on your list as well. So you ready to get into this?
Absolutely.
All right. So we'll do each of us our top 5, starting from 5 going to 1. And if it's on your list and it's on my list and it shows up first for me, then we'll talk about it when it gets to you. I think that's...
We always set that rule.
Tired.
And
I'm tired so already.
Yeah. It's not that difficult. You do struggle with that every year. You're like, wait, do we wait for your number 3 or wait for it? Whatever. We'll talk about what we want to, when we want to. It's past that time anyway, so all bets are off.
I don't think you're going to have my number 5. My number 5 is F1. And it just made it in. I had Marty Supreme in that spot for a long time. And then I rewatched it again recently, and it's a really fun movie. It's a good movie. It's a fun movie. We've talked about it. It is like a rewatchable movie that you can throw in or, pull up on your whatever Roku device or whatever and just play it. You can jump into it in the middle of it. It is it goes down smooth. I'll say that. So, and it also keeps feeding the meter of my interest. It just kind of throws a little bit in there every once in a while. And it makes changes. The setting changes, whether it's, what kind of cars are they driving? Is he doing the Porsche at the beginning or the F1 cars in the middle of the movie, or, having Brad Pitt anchor the movie. And then, I'm not going to say that it's the most amazing script writing in the world, but it is good. I think that it has pieces in there, and we talked about some pieces that were a little bit clunkier, but really only one piece was really kind of clunky for me, and it was the bad guy. The other thing I liked about the way that they did the movie is that the storytelling, it drives the necessity of the technology, and I really love technology in movies, utilizing new technology in movies, and this movie does it a lot. It has all kinds of different camera angles that were never seen before, all this stuff. Plus it has a lot of visual effects, has a lot of computer, CGI type stuff in there, but it's so seamlessly integrated. I loved it, and I will definitely watch it again this year, and probably once, every so often. So I think it'll be great.
How do you know it's not on my list? You said you're pretty sure it's not number 5. What if it's my number 1 film of all year?
Well, I know it's not your number 1 film of this year, but
how are you so sure? 11 years of experience.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I know you liked it, but
Yeah,
but
very much so.
there's so many other great movies this year.
And that's the only reason why.
Yeah.
If it was a top 10 list, it would be there. And I agree with everything that you said. And I think that it's interesting that we have to say something like, well, it's not exactly screenwriting, blah, 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 because it's an F1 movie. I think a friend of mine said this once, as long as it's good for its genre, it's a good film. So in the fact that it's not Begonia, right? It's not that kind of film, right? Which is an honorable mention of mine, by the way. Spoiler, it's not this complex human drama, but it is if you look at it that way. It doesn't mean that it has to be this metaphysical, transfixing image of how that means this motif and that means this and that means the family's coming together or the family's, it doesn't have to be this deep dramatic thing to make it a great film.
Yeah.
First of all, we've talked about popcorn films a million times. Entertainment is worth its price in gold. It's worth being entertained for 2 hours and forgetting about the world. That's worth a lot. But in the middle of that, they have complex human stories, complex human characters, and they are all integrated into this idea of how to make this team successful. And without those small, intricate character development aspects, that movie would not have jazzed me up as much. It just wouldn't have. It would have just been an epic thing to watch and very cool looking. It's because it's so well drawn and so the interpersonal stuff. And yeah, the bad guy is the bad guy. But in a way, why give him a backstory? He's the bad guy. I mean, you do kind of get a little bit something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I agree with you. I see why it's in your top 5.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, what's your number 5?
Okay, so first of all, Begonia is a honorable mention, and I just got to watch. It was just an accident.
Yes. How'd you like it?
Ooh, Lordy.
Yeah.
I did not see any of it coming. I could not predict what was coming next. If you had told me, spoilers, and I don't think it's a major spoiler, but if you had told me that we were going to have one character search out another character who happened to be a photographer, and she was taking wedding pictures of 2 more people, and that those 2 people would become involved in the story, and the bride would be wearing the dress for most of the movie, I would have been like, I never saw it coming. I hardly saw anything coming. In the very beginning, when the guy puts his finger in his mouth to talk back to the guy, I was like, what's going on here? What? Wait, what? It's easily understood, but you're kind of questioning things like, oh, does he know that guy? Oh, he knows that guy. He's scared of that guy. But why is he scared of that guy? Oh, where we're at. Oh, is he part of the regime? What's happening here? And then all of your answers come when they're supposed to come, but they never come the way that you think they will come. I don't think it was as provocative and as mind-blowing as I expected it to be, but in a way, it's really, really clever because it challenges your what would you do quality of life. Like if you were in that situation, and it's a pretty severe situation, and some of the happenstances at the beginning of the film are a little like, okay, this is a movie, and that probably only would happen in a movie, like that guy walking into that garage and that guy following him to his house and all the stuff that happens. And then the going back to the house later on with the mother who's pregnant and the daughter. Really, those are movie moments. But in the context of what they're talking about, it's pretty intense because the mother is not about a pregnant woman needing help. It's about a person rising above their own conflicts about who that person is and helping them out anyway. So I was transfixed by it. Transfixed. I couldn't look away.
It's thought provoking. I think that was the thing for me. It's like, it is that kind of like thought experiment. But then also I think that this movie did what, for me, I think what a lot of people thought that like the Secret Agent did,
right?
Where it was this kind of like, really, I mean, the Secret Agent was maybe packaged in a little different way. And it did have an actor that people had heard of, that people in the United States at least had heard of before, and so maybe that helped it catch on more in the United States. But I think that Jafar Panahi is a really good filmmaker, and this is the first movie that I've seen of his, and so it makes me want to reach out and watch some more of his films. So,
and then when you know the context of how it was filmed and where it was filmed,
a lot
and
of
how
his
they
movies recently have
scary.
been filmed that way. Yeah, and I mean,
there's a couple shots as people are going down the street. Oh, before I forget that, closer to the last sequence when they take the guy out of bondage, if you will, and the brake lights.
Yes.
Are the main focus, and the white lights going out into the valley or whatever. That's a stunning shot. All of that is filmed extremely well. But there were a couple street shots that I was like, woo. Like, can they see you? Can they see you? Anyway, so yeah, it's. I'm glad you said don't sit on that one because it put it in my mind, and I was like, I've got to see this before, and I had plenty of time before our top 5. Anyway, my number 5 is Train Dreams. Why? I have no idea. I have no idea why it stayed on the list. It just did. It never left, and I have never stopped thinking about it. By the way, all of my top 5 I've seen at least twice with the exception of one. One I've seen 3 times and one I've only seen once. So, and that was only because it wasn't available like without paying a certain amount, which I'll do eventually, but I'm not paying $19.99. You know, not right now. So yeah, these films I've seen Train Dreams twice. I think that the only real thing that I have to say, other than Kerry Condon, Felicity Jones, and Joel Edgerton, are amazing. And I love that moment with William H. Macy where he's like, "Isn't it just beautiful?" And he's like, "What?" He's like, "Everything." I love that. I don't know if that's the exact quote, but that's a beautiful moment. I think that the thing that intrigues me the most about the movie is it's called Train Dreams. And when you're in the dreams, you don't really know it at first. And then when you come out of the dreams, you go, that's exactly what a dream feels like. So it's really hard to get dreams down because they're so individual and people have their own experiences and how they experience their dreams and that kind of stuff. And I just like the idea of a slow burning film that actually is quite well paced and a lot happens, but not a lot happens, if that makes any sense. It's about one man's life and how important that is to those people, and about this is just his life. He doesn't do anything above and beyond surviving, above and beyond loving, above and beyond being social. He doesn't, save the world. He doesn't change anything. He doesn't create anything. He doesn't go on to have a philosophy that becomes a religion or anything major per se. It's just about one man's life and how important just one man's life is and how beautiful the simplicity of one person's life is. So I loved it. I can't get it out of my head.
Yeah, it's kind of like reading a diary where, like when each piece, each vignette is another chapter in the diary. And then at the same time, like a diary inherently is, they say, oh, we're all the star of our own movie. Well, like he was the star of his movie. It'd be like the Diary of Anne Frank or something, where it's someone living a real life and their experiences we got to share in them in a tangential way. And so it's very similar, and it's very beautiful, well done. I think Joel Edgerton did a good job. He's solid in everything I've seen him in. So yeah, talented.
I think Joel Edgerton and Delroy Lindo got a nomination this year, so it will remind people. So the next time Delroy Lindo is nominated, he will win. And Joel Edgerton came this close, so people are going to be like, why have we sat on this for such a long time? This man, he's really, really good. He convinced me that he could beat up Tom Hardy. So
there you go.
I mean, yeah.
Well, and we've also got a pairing, position number 5 pairing of Kerry Condon movies.
I know. I thought of that.
That's pretty cool.
She's amazing.
She's really good in both.
She's amazing.
So my number 4 is Sinners.
Interesting. Well, so are we going to wait to talk about it?
Sure.
It's okay. We can wait to talk about it. So my number 4 is Sentimental Value. I saw it a second time and I can't get over how complex such a simple story is. There are things that I did not notice on any level the first time I saw it. And then the second time I saw it, I was like, what? Like I felt it and I perceived it on some level, but I didn't consciously register certain things. And then I saw it a second time and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Like even though she talks about it later on, Elle Fanning, about dyeing her hair, I never noticed it the first time I saw it. I mean, I just assumed, I guess, that she was making that transition into being that character, but I didn't know that he had requested it or I didn't think about it the first time I saw it. It seems like a small detail, but it's also a very important detail. And that opening sequence is, well, you have the opening sequence with the house and the family and the history and all that other stuff, which is it's a motif that runs through the movie, and they come back to it a couple of times. And once again, I'm so happy they modernized that house at the end. I was so psyched about that the first time I saw it. I was like, this house is great. They need to modernize it. I don't know, something about bringing it up, which is exactly the thematic thing that should have happened. Exactly. And then they go and build a set to replicate it for a movie, and it's the exact same one that they updated. So it's fascinating. The performances, I can't get over Renata Rensva's opening sequence. That just blows my mind. First of all, I don't know. I guess when you take a movie in, there's a lot to take in. I didn't really realize that she wanted to sleep with him to get over her anxiety about going on stage. And he's like, what? I don't know what I thought. And then the second time you see it, it's very clear what she's doing. And then she's like, hit me. And I was like, what is happening? But all of it made sense to me. As a performer, all made sense to me. It's completely masochistic, but it makes... I mean, I get it. I have thought, oh, if I just bang into that wall right now, maybe this nervousness will go away. Of course, I didn't. But yeah, and Stellan Skarsgård is great. And I've talked Elle Fanning up for a million years. And Inga Ipsdotter Lilius, who I did not realize she was in as much of the movie as she is. Her character is introduced, and her storyline is introduced, even though it really can't be a separate idea, because without the older sister storyline in the family, I didn't realize that she was such a prominent part of that movie from moment one. And she's the longest supporting actress character or actress nominated time-wise. She's in almost like 35 minutes of the movie. Yeah, I looked it up.
But it is closer to the end. I mean, I guess she's around at the beginning when she gets together. She's around the husband, whole time. Her and the husband, and
because I remember what you said about it. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. I remember what you said about it, that her moments comes at the end, but it doesn't. It does. You're 100% correct. But if and when you ever rewatch that film, you're going to be surprised at how much she really is prominent. From the moment of the funeral till she's having the anxiety about having to do everything. Oh, we should have catered this. Yeah, no, you're right. I got this. To realizing the father's there, and then she does a lot in that film. I was shocked how much she's in that film, more than I thought. So it's not like Chase Infinity in One Battle After Another. Not the first time that's going to be mentioned. She's in the last 30 minutes of that movie, but she had such an impact on us. We think she's the lead character or lead actress in that film. She's not. Without her being fleshed out as much as she is, the movie still could exist. You can't really 86 her as a character, because it's an important part of everybody else's storyline. But she's so magnetic and so electric and so alive that we thought, wow, this person has taken over this film. She did. But she's in only 30. She's in less of that movie than Inga is in this Sentimental Value. That's crazy, right? But anyway, the next time you see it, it's the small things that I think that we don't connect all the way together when you have such boisterous performances like Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah, that's true.
And such, Renata's performance is so... Oh, she's so intense the whole entire time. And even Elle Fanning, she has those 2 or 3 really great moments. She's great throughout the whole entire thing. I'm a huge fan of hers and always have been. I mean, Neon Demon, saw on Broadway. She's amazing. So enough said. Sentimental Value is like a great play, like a great book. When you pick it up and read it again or watch it again or go to see another production of it, you go, oh, wow. That's interesting. I didn't see that before. I didn't see that before. I didn't see that. It's fascinating because I never put together the fate of his mother and the fate of the character at the end of the film. I never really put that together.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why, but it leads you to that last moment, which is stunning to watch a second time, especially when you know it's coming. It's amazing. So anyway, Sentimental Value.
I think you're right. I think a rewatch would help me to, because you're taking everything in the first time you watch a movie, and then so it seems like she's a tertiary character, the Inga Ipsdotter Lilius, and so the fact that she is more prominent earlier on, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Well, prominent, not like, I mean, when
she's there, she's present. Yeah.
She's holding down a couple of those scenes.
Yeah.
And she's an invisible character on some level. She has no great dramatic moments. There are a few, though. There are a few where she's like, "Oh, that touched me," and I guess I didn't see it the first time.
It's kind of like John Magaro in Past Lives.
He's so great.
It's that kind of like, he was always there the whole time, even though the movie wasn't about him. It was still a solid performance of a great character. So
that's a great comparison.
Yeah. Okay, so my number 3 is Eddington.
Really? Sorry. Okay. No, I was accused of being snotty towards you by a friend of mine, by the way, that I was dismissive in my facial expressions. I'm so sorry. Let's edit that out. Let's do it again. Your number 3 is what, Josh?
Eddington.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about it.
Which means it's not in your top 3.
Oh, I just did it. I just caught myself doing it. It's not.
No. So I think that Ari Aster is kind of been hit or miss for me. Hereditary was good. I thought it was fine. And it was definitely kind of like a calling card. And then, Midsommar was great. It was, oh my gosh. I still think about that movie.
Me too.
And Beau is Afraid was just not my cup of tea. Not my saucer, not my strain, not my liquid. So, but this movie, he is able to have his humor, like the humor that was in Midsommar. He's able to have his humor, but then he's also able to work through things, which is, I think that's Ari Aster's whole deal, is he just works through things on film. And he was able, in this movie, in my opinion, he was able to work through his feelings about society and his feelings about living in a society and what we were responsible for and what is necessary. And then also just like what is not necessary, and then calling out things that are BS on both sides. And that really helps me to accept it not as a piece of propaganda, because that's what a lot of times when somebody might make a movie that has current ripped from the headlines type things, they either boil down a complex situation into a very simple thing and then attack that, a straw man argument, or they don't have enough obfuscation, like Sinners, which I know we'll talk about. There are contemporary themes in Sinners, but there's a layer of obfuscation on that allows us to play in a realm of vagueness, but also interpret and try to figure out what Ryan Coogler is trying to say. Whereas in Eddington, I think that Ari Aster is saying things, and he's not saying this is how it should be or this is what you should do. He's just saying these are things, deal with it or don't, or just these are things, and here's all the things, and here's an example of how all the things came together in this way. I also think that the Joaquin Phoenix and Emma Stone, for however long she was in the movie, did a great job in this movie. So and they were here for it. They were game. So.
Well, what I find fascinating, I see everything that you see through what you just said, through your eyes. It didn't affect me that way. I do think you need to, for me personally, and we've talked about this a million times before, art's in the eye of the beholder. A blue splotch and a red splotch might mean something to you. It might mean something to me. It's about how it makes me feel. And that movie left me open-ended, and I don't think that that's a very good place for me to be. I'm not saying the movie is responsible for giving me an understanding of what it's trying to say. I will try to interpret it as much as I possibly can, but I see everything that you just said. What I find the most fascinating about it is how different people feel about that film, and people who have seen it once who are like, I hate that movie, and saw it again and were like, oh my God, it's the most brilliant thing ever. And then people who have thought that it's the most brilliant film of the year, and then they watched it again and it was like, nothing really happens. Like, well, he doesn't take a side for any stretch of any time. He does it. What? And so it's been very polarizing, but even to an individual who's seen it more than once. If I ever have a chance to explore it again, I will probably not seek it out. Then again, maybe I will. But if it ever comes my way again, for whatever reason, it would be interesting to watch it a second time, because I believe a lot of times when we see as many movies as you and I see, that it's not an expectation per se, but an understanding of patterns. So when we understand certain patterns of certain characters, when a character is going one way and then it goes a completely different way, or doesn't go any way you're expecting it to go, and sometimes just sit somewhere in the middle, it's almost like you're expecting what you think you know from all the other patterns of all the other characters who have acted like that up to that point. And Eddington does a great job of not doing that. Yeah. So that could be frustrating to me. I just don't think it holds theatrical water for me. It doesn't hold, it didn't light me up in any way, whether or not it was, I'm mad at it, I'm disgusted by it, like Midsommar, or I'm intrigued by it, I'm scared by it, like Hereditary, or I have no idea what's going on in Beau is Afraid.
Me either.
But I kind of liked that to a degree. Haven't thought twice about that film since, so that says something. And I haven't thought twice about Eddington. But I absolutely see what you're saying. Yeah. I see why, and I've had somebody else kind of express the same thing. So it makes a person, so maybe now that that's somewhere in here, if I ever do watch it again, I'll go, oh, okay, I see why I'm being too black and white about this. Maybe there's a gray area that most films don't explore. Who knows?
You know, it is. So there's a couple things. I have seen it. I've seen every movie on my list at least twice and some 3 times. And with this movie, the second time you watch it, like for me, the structure, it's very tightly structured. And I'm not saying like this happens in 5 minutes and this happens. I'm just saying like the way that things are put together, it does take a lot of its structure from other films, as far as like, you know, I mean, using foreshadowing and then the last thing I'll say about Eddington is that I think to me what's interesting is that social media rewards people who take a side. It rewards people who are on an extreme. And so you see Joaquin Phoenix getting sucked into that and then doing what he does. And I'm not saying that he is not at fault. He's completely at fault for whatever happens or doesn't happen or whatever. We all have our own responsibilities, but the fact that this movie shows, it kind of puts the phone up to your face and says, do you want to do this? Here's what you have to do. Or here's what people who have come before you in social media have done. And if that's what you need, if that's what you want to do, this is what you have to do. And it's just, this doesn't do that. This doesn't come down and say like, this is right, this is wrong, don't do this, yes, do that. You know, these people are right, these people, it doesn't do that. And it just lets you stew in this, just what the hell is going on and how the hell are we going to survive this?
It's intriguing that you ended with it's a movie that doesn't take sides. I never thought about it. I mean, I did think about it, but not in that precise way. So I'll look at it through those eyes the next time that I see it. All right. So my number 3 is No Other Choice.
Oh, okay. We're going to have to wait to talk about it.
Yeah, I figured.
Right now.
Oh, really?
It's my number 2.
Oh, okay.
So,
good.
Yeah. All right. Go for it.
It's the only one that I've only seen once, like I said, because it's not readily available. I didn't, in the last 2 days, check to see on Prime how much it was. The last time I checked, it was like $19.99, which is not a lot of money if you put it in perspective of going to the theater and that kind of stuff. But I kind of ran out of time, even though I had 5 weeks, to figure out how to see it again. I don't know. I haven't stopped thinking about it. I don't know what else to say about it other than it's an experience and it's extremely well done. It just is. We talked about some stuff that I'd seen that you didn't really see when we saw the film, and vice versa. I find that intriguing. I talked about seeing all those triangles in the movie. There's a shot when they're on the roof of the house of the kid and the mother looking through the triangle and up through the triangle. I don't think you saw that. There were other things that there were other things that you had mentioned. I was like, are we talking about the same film? The only reason why I knew we were was because obviously you could tell by the narrative, the whole idea of the modernization of jobs like that guy had and what you have to do to survive in this world, and how your mental stability, your physical and emotional and spiritual stability go awry when your whole world collapses underneath you. Your house starts to look the way that it did. The yard started to look the way that it did. And the lengths people will go to keep the life that they think they need. He didn't try to like chant it out. He didn't try to like meditate it away. He didn't try to exercise it away. He didn't try to do drugs. He was laser focused on what he needed to do. And what he needed to do was get that job back to get his life back. And I find that fascinating. Not exactly morally the best choices he made. I find it fascinating that we saw a bunch of different things in that film. And I think that says a lot about people's personalities and about what they take from movies or how a movie is presented. I can't say enough about it. I can't wait to see it again. I can't wait to know it well enough to know what's coming next, so I can look at things. Because when you know what's coming next, you can look at the frame and go, oh, okay, let me see this. Oh, I never saw that. This before, and it's different. I just went through Schitt's Creek and Gilmore Girls because I need lighthearted stuff. Although, it's got a really. Both those shows got kind of a wallop to it. And there are things about both shows. And I've seen the Gilmore Girls all the way through twice. So this might have been my third time. No, this twice. It'd be my second time. And I've seen Schitt's Creek 3 times already all the way through. I mean, those are half an hour episodes in and out. It's a comedy. And when you have it at home to watch, you can just go right to the next one. You don't have to wait for the credits and all that other stuff. And there are things in those 2 shows that I never noticed before and how complex they were. When I saw a couple of films on this list a second and or third time, I was like, I would have testified in a court of law. I never saw that at all. And no other choice is a film filled with that. There's one thing after the next that I wasn't expecting to happen. I didn't really know where it was going. I didn't know it was going to end up all's well that ends well, if you will. Not morally speaking, of course, but he definitely accomplished what he sets out to do. And that focus is amazing to me. Directed in a very evil way a lot of the times, but that commitment to something like that is intriguing to me. So it's just a really fantastic movie. And if I had seen it a second time, it probably would be number 1.
Yeah. I mean, and for me, like, this is Park Chan-wook. Like, I didn't realize, I mean, yes, of course I've seen Old Boy, all that stuff, but like, I didn't realize the craft, he has like wrestled movies down to the ground. And
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And he knows exactly what he's doing. And so he with this movie, especially since it had been cooking for a long, long time for him, and he finally got it to work. It just to me, after seeing The Handmaiden and seeing this movie, I'm just like, and then also going back to Decision to Leave, that was mind-opening or, eye-opening to me, was watching Decision to Leave, not liking it very much, and then rewatching it, and then just seeing a whole nother movie out of it. He's one of the only filmmakers nowadays who can surprise me. And that is worth a lot to me. And he's also one of the filmmakers who I think we're probably going to talk about another one, who is able to ride that line between humor and, just like dread and seriousness, and all of these things are just commingled, and none of it feels bad or wrong or fake or disingenuous. It all just feels like it's all in the stew, and it's all working together. And if you take a part of that out, it's just not as full bodied. It's just just a boring old soup instead of this like really rich stew. So, yeah.
Well, it's interesting because Yorgos Lanthimos does that with humor, but sometimes you're like, oh, why am I laughing at that? That never happens in No Other Choice. Like, you laugh and you just go, okay, yeah, I'm laughing. He has a way of the moment to moment stuff. You're right there with it the whole entire time. You're not thinking about what happened before it, and you're not wondering what's happening next. He's got you right in that moment. And that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
It really is a hard thing to do, especially, and once again, I guess I'm propping us up for the movies that we see or the amount of movies that we see, but we do see a fair amount of movies. So the anticipation of something or trying to figure out how something goes along is gonna play out. It's just natural. It just happens with me anyway. I don't care what I see, a concert, an art piece. I'm wondering if I can guess what's coming next based on what I've seen or what I feel. And it doesn't take me out of it. With Park Chan-wook, he's got you right there in that moment. So when he's talking about his father's gun, you're right there looking at that wall and you're seeing that gun and you're wondering, what's he doing with that gun at that moment? Not what he's going to do with the gun, because that's a natural progression. You're going to think he's going to obviously kill somebody or shoot somebody.
Sure.
This has something to do with him getting revenge on his situation, for lack of a better way to do it. But you're not thinking about any of that. You're thinking about exactly what he's telling you about that gun and exactly what's going on with that gun. Like when she finds it later on, you're like, oh, wait, you're not thinking about what he said when he introduces the gun. You're thinking about, what is she going to do with that gun right now? That's a hard thing to do. That's well, I mean, I don't know if it's a hard thing to do or not, but it seems like a hard thing to do, to keep an audience right there in that moment it's happening.
I think it's a hard thing to do when you can compare it directly to other movies, especially like, movies that are kind of like the Netflix type movies where it's like, hey, I know that you're on your phone right now. I need to remind you that we're going to this, church to interview this person or whatever, that kind of stuff that's just like, trying to spoon feed you the narrative instead of allowing for the filmmaking to give you the information that you need.
That's interesting. That
really also
interesting...
wasn't a snipe at the Dead Man movie, Wake Up Dead Man, which I liked actually.
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite, but I get why people liked it. Yeah. But that's a really good way to put it. You cannot be on your phone for any of these movies that we've talked about. You cannot, especially with a subtitled film, obviously. Yeah. But you can't be on them for anything. There's not a single frame that if you missed, you could figure out the next by them repeating the narrative or whatever else is going on. So yeah, that's actually a really good way to put that. Yeah. Impressive.
Number 2 for you.
For me is One Battle After Another.
We got to wait.
Oh, I'm happy.
Well, I mean, we have to wait until now, I guess, because it's very similar in that's my number 1.
That's amazing. Yeah. Good. I'm glad. Of course it has to be. And I just have to publicly say, and I don't want to be snotty about it. I don't want to talk down to you, but did I not tell you PTA will have an Oscar in our lifetime? For 11 years, have I not been telling you that?
Yes.
Tell the truth.
You have.
And you have very much been yourself about it, and I appreciate that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, and I'm not being condescending, but you were like, Kubrick doesn't have one, although he technically does.
He does have one, just not for directing.
Not for directing, yeah. And you're like, this person doesn't have one, and that person doesn't have one, and PTA Fincher doesn't have one, all in due time. And then this movie happened, and I was like, it's his time, and it's a masterpiece. Yeah. So go ahead.
No, I mean, it is a masterpiece. I mean, it was the movie that I was most excited for this year, and it somehow met those expectations. Not even expectations. It surpassed my expectations, and it met the fever pitch that I had like going into it, and I kind of was just amazed that could happen, because especially since, coming off of Phantom Thread and Licorice Pizza, both movies of which I've seen recently, and I rewatched all of PTA's movies before this movie. That's how much anticipation I had for this movie. I've rewatched every single one of his movies. So
it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and then it somehow delivered on that. So, but after seeing those previous two to this one, it's like, I really appreciate these, and I'm so glad that I went to the theater, or that I watched these movies again, and I really got something out of it. Whereas this one is just such a different animal. It is that funny. I mean, it is that complex. It is that, like, looking back on, he's a girl dad, and Paul Thomas Anderson is a girl dad, and he's trying to, like, figure out certain things, I guess, or probably putting things on the Bob character, and trying to work through those things. And so, yeah, Bob, yeah.
So great.
But and then he's also, once again, talking about things that are here in the real world, today, in an obfuscated way, and just like, let me just turn this around a little bit. Let me make it absurdist by making it the Christmas Adventurers Club. Sure, let's do that. Yeah, let's.
Is that a Christmas tree that they're doing?
Probably. And it's also like the all-seeing eye,
Yeah.
It's all of those things. It's everything. It's everything
great.
you want. So yeah, and then having Sean Penn as the quintessential military guy who just wants to be loved. He just wants to be loved. He's so sad, and that is just. Oh man, in a lot of ways, it's hard to see that character, and you have this, like, morbid sympathy for him in those scenes where he takes out the comb and licks it and, combs his hair, and you're just like, oh, what a sad guy. Those are the things that you're able to extract out of this. And then all of a sudden, Benicio del Toro shows up, and he just is able to be this, like,
sensei,
floating aura of goodness, and he's able to just kind of bounce between things,
with a sharpness too, though. There's a sharpness to him
that he has purpose. But
yeah,
whereas Bob,
when he's going through that hallway and he's guiding those, you got to do this and take him. He's very sensei.
Yeah, but he has a purpose. He has, like, that calmness, that kind of, like, calm strength. So yeah, which is what Bob needs in that moment. So yeah, I don't know. It's great. And then we got to see Chase Infinity for the first time too. So I'm excited to see. I think she's in a show that's an offshoot of the Handmaid's Tale.
The second book of the Handmaid's Tale.
Okay, Testament.
The Testament. Yeah, Testament. I can't watch it right now. I can't do it right now.
No, I'm not going to try.
I mean, I will eventually, but I just can't do 1984. Big Brother's watching stuff right now. I just can't do it.
And then Leonardo DiCaprio, this isn't the first time we've seen him do great humor, like great comedic acting. I mean, with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Wolf of Wall Street, he's just amazing in both of those movies. And so I kind of expect this. I expected a kind of a performance like this from him, but he still delivered, still did a great job.
Yeah, and let's not forget Regina Hall and Tiana Taylor.
Tiana Taylor, amazing.
Two master classes of acting. Just actually, I'm so happy for both of them. I've liked Regina Hall for a long period of time. I think she does a really good job in some of the really subtle moments. Yeah. When Tiana Taylor's got the machine gun and she's like 9 months pregnant, and Regina says to him, "I see it, I see it." I mean, there's 1,000 words that she spoke in 2 lines. And what I thought about when I heard this kind of discussion in film Twitter world, film X world, online, whatever it is, I pay attention to some of it. Sometimes I don't. I like to see other people's opinions and how they ebb and flow with the whole award season thing. And everybody kept saying, well, it's not his masterpiece, it's not his best film, but he's probably going to win because it's his time. And I was like, you're all going to have to take all of that back. You're gonna look back on it and say you were wrong, because you are, because it has every element of a PTA film that we love. There's this weird sexuality that Boogie Nights has. for obvious reasons, but there's weird stuff going on in that film above and beyond the fact that it's about, a pornographic filmmaker who creates a family. The whole thing with the wife and having sex in front of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. All of that stuff and where that goes. And then that awkwardness that Sean Penn has, that Don Cheadle has in Boogie Nights. Don Cheadle's he makes me uncomfortable. That severe storyline behind a lot of Magnolia with the child abuse and everything, that's mirrored throughout One Battle After Another, not specifically child abuse, but other very severe family problems. And so it has this strange, I wouldn't even say levity, because that gives it too much. It makes it feel too humorous, but there's an oddness to his humor. Licorice Pizza's filled with those moments. Bradley Cooper spends 5 minutes on screen and makes you go, what the hell was that all about? But funny.
Yeah.
And the severity of the characters that he draws are just so on the line of, could they walk off the screen and be real people? Yes, but would you want to know them? No. And, Sean Penn, of course, Academy Award winner. Yes, once again, the second time I watched it, I thought I texted you, but I tried to look for that text, and I definitively was going to say Sean Penn will win the Oscar. This was before we did our predictions. This was weeks before the Oscars, because the second time I watched it, I was like, he's stunning in that. He just, it's a caricature, but it's based in real emotion, and it is sadness, and it is somebody did not hug him when he was a kid.
Yep.
It's just, and the whole idea that the film that won Best Picture this year is called One Battle After Another, through all the stuff we're going through in the world now, all the stuff you and I are going through in our own lives, it is one battle after another. The greatness to this film, in my opinion, is it has a happy ending. At least it has a content. I feel content with where I left those characters at. Whether or not it's happy or not is relative to their life and how you perceive it to be. But it is infinitely watchable. I cannot wait to watch it the third time. Now, when we get to my number one, which I did see 3 times, it's a different ball game with One Battle After Another. You have to really kind of be in that frame of mind to go through all of that again, because the awkwardness of the first time you see Tiana Taylor, what she tells Sean Penn to do, you're like, wait, what? Why am I don't want to stop.
You're like,
and
this
then he gets
isn't
up
what happens in movies.
Yeah, I was like, then he gets up and walks it off, and I was like, okay, what? And just the human interactions, that scene that she has when she's leaving, that we've talked about a couple of times, the vulnerability and the humanity that she shows, but covers it up with, this is the way that I am. You knew this about me. And then the integrity he has taking care of his child all those years, and it, ends up being right about almost everything he taught her, cell phone, all the way down to being prepared, having those, like you pointed out, that they've had those backpacks packed for a decade now, because hers is a little kid one.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. And then the last thing I'll say is that chase scene at the end is like no other chase scene in any other film I've ever seen, but it's exactly like every other chase scene I've ever seen in a movie, if that makes sense.
Because it builds tension. That's what it does.
It does, but it also is shot in a way that it's not what you're expecting it to be. It just ends up not being what you're expecting it to be. So I was super happy that he won all those Oscars. I think it is the best movie for the Academy Awards, and I'm happy that it won. Not my favorite movie of the year, though.
Because your favorite movie of the year is?
Sinners.
Yep.
Sinners.
That's my number 4. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I'm not going to say much more than what we've already said. The performances are stunning. Michael B. Jordan's Academy Award winning performance. The third time I watched it with the eyes of the winners.
Yeah.
I like to go back and watch it after I saw Weapons again too, which was tough to watch again.
Hey.
But it was interesting to watch again once I'd known she had won, because you can say all you want. It's a career Oscar, or Marty Supreme. He acted a fool, so Michael B. Jordan slid in there. But and I've said this about Michael B. Jordan, and I'll say it again: the performance is on the screen. It is
the performances are on the screen.
Performances, yeah, the three, if you want to count it that way, like that guy pointed out. Because Stack the vampire is a different character, technically speaking. The way he comes in, brother, the way he talks is this is the way, brother. It's completely different. That slickness that he has at the end of the film is definitely different than the slickness that he has. There's a vulnerability and defensiveness to the slickness that Stack has up until he becomes the vampire. So it is three separate characters. And, it's just the amount of mind-boggling thought of how they technically did all of that stuff, and what he had to do to remember who he was, where he was, and what he was doing. And then, because they just don't film a scene once. It's films 10, 12. Thank God it's not Kubrick. My God, he would have gone insane. He would have gone into a mental hospital for years afterwards. So the one thing that I will say is that it's infinitely watchable. I'm excited about the themes that he brought to my life and the narrative of the characters. It's stuff we've seen before, but then it's woven together in a way that, and I've said this before, it just shouldn't work, and it completely 100% works. And I will say this, there are things that I said this earlier, but there's things in this film that I did not notice definitely the first time I saw it, or first two times I saw it. The scene when they're smoking the cigarette, right? Which is now movie history. It's going to be shown every time we see clips of the movies.
When he smokes a cigarette and hands it to himself?
Yes, correct. And they're waiting for the guy that they're going to buy the warehouse from.
The hog, whatever his name is. Yeah.
They're going to, do you know that there are two vultures circling that building?
I didn't see that.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't see it until the third time. Get this. When you see the vampire jump, Sammy, I don't remember what his name is, but I love the way he says Sammy. When he jumps into the frame and he's kind of on fire or smoking, and he goes to that house and he knocks on the door and he goes
definitely vultures there.
There are three. For the three people in the house. Yep. Now, that's all CGI'd. They just a vulture didn't fly around the house. So it's purposely there. What it means, I'm not so sure, but I was fascinated by the two for the twins, the three for the people in the house. And I was fascinated by the fact that they were vultures and that they were surrounding houses and a warehouse, whatever you want to call what they turned the club into, where death happens. And I was like, that's really fascinating. It's really, really fascinating. So yeah, I loved it. I can't, it's infinitely watchable too. There, you can put it on in any mood. You don't have to get all weirded out by Sean Penn walking around with excitement. You don't have to be all weirded out by Leonardo DiCaprio or Benicio del Toro's little dance at the end, which I love. But it is awkward. A lot of that film is awkward. This film is just pure theatrical entertainment with such grounded performances, such deep thought-provoked themes and ideas that it is everything. Yeah. And it works 100%.
I agree. It's well thought out themes and it's very complex themes that are well thought out and well displayed to people. And I think that it uses really great grounded dialogue. These characters have lived with each other their entire lives, especially the twins. But it's also kind of like the beginning of the movie is slow, deliberate. It kind of gets you to where you need to be. It reveals a few things, like you don't really know how Smoke and Stack, okay, they were in Chicago and now they're back here. Why'd they come back? There's questions you have that don't get answered immediately, but then they get revealed over time. Those answers get revealed over time. And then obviously the biggest reveal is that this is a vampire movie as well. So that waits a while. And then of course, like you said, it kind of announces itself with him smoking, with the Jack O'Connell character smoking.
Sort of. You don't really know
why
what that
he's
is.
Smoking.
No, you don't until you actually. It reveals itself in that one scene when she walks into the bedroom and sees him. But it really reveals itself when Mary is walking away and he goes up in the air.
Jumps up in the air. Yeah, no, it's really
scary.
Cool. So obviously,
if I was a kid, I'd have nightmares about that.
Obviously, great use of music, whether it's Ludwig Göransson's score or whether it's the performances within the film by Miles Catton or all of the other people who played in this film. So, I mean, just great, amazing allegorical storytelling throughout. Like, it's just it's a complex movie, but it's also like you're seeing vampires get stakes to the heart. So, you know, they're embedding, you know, guitars into the head of a vampire. So it's like, you know, this is, you know, it's got a little bit for everybody. So, yeah.
Yeah, it really does. And it's, we've talked about Wami Musaku and her Academy Award nominated performance. It's so fun to watch it again a third time, and you're not worried about the narrative. You're not worried about all the themes per se. You're just watching the intricate parts. And there's a moment when, I can't remember who, I think it's Cornbread is outside. Yeah. I can't remember who it is that's outside. And she's talking to him, and Smoke is right here. And I think it's this moment. I've seen it 3 times. I should know it better than this. And all of a sudden she's like, nope, I'm going back here and I'm going to stand right here. And the look on her face is like, nope, something is wrong here. Yep. And I'm going to protect myself, and I'm going to make sure I get out of the line of fire because this is not good. It's the small little things. And also his name is Remick, Jack O'Connell. He's so good. And Hallie Seinfeld is really good in it too. We didn't do a whole lot of talking about her. Yeah. I mean, we did, but I mean, the performance is really good. It's layered. It's textured. We've talked about everybody else in the film numerous times. But I will say this. Did you know they both had real names in the film? Stack and Smoke. They say their real names in the film.
Oh, what are they? I don't.
Elijah and I can't, another E name. I can't remember. Huh. And they actually say his last name too. Their last name too. It took me a third time to see it to go, who's she talking about? Elijah. Okay. And I was like, oh, she's talking to Smoke. Okay. But yeah, it took me 3 times to realize that they actually had names, but it's how they present the names that's interesting. It's interpersonal relationships that bring those names out. It's Smoke a Stack to everybody. Yeah. On 95% of the time, but when they bring out their real names, it's for a very particular reason. And you know, can't say enough about it. I can't wait to watch it again. I can't wait to take a year off and see it again in a year, or if that's how long it takes. It's just and you know, we don't really throw this term around a lot. I did say One Battle After Another is a masterpiece, but we don't say that a lot. Yeah. But Sinners is a masterpiece, maybe for completely different reasons than One Battle After Another. But how many times in the 11 years that we've been talking about the Oscars have you ever thought you'd be satisfied for whichever front runner won?
Yeah, either one would have been great. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. That's our top 5. So I know you said we watched a lot of movies this year. I keep track of the movies that I watch. And so I calculated out I watched 58 movies.
It's amazing.
Now, and that doesn't count all the times that I've watched movies multiple times. So it's like 72, I think, was the number of times I watched a 2025 movie over the last 15 months. So
I didn't count because it always kind of makes me feel bad. Not bad, but just like, oh, I think I should have seen more. But then when I was going through the list of the releases, I was like, oh, seen that. And I was like, oh, I've seen a lot of movies this year. I don't think it's quite 58. And plus, I've also gone through 3 TV shows.
Yeah, I can't do that. I mean, I did. I went through Euphoria, and there's shows that I've been watching. The Pit, obviously, but so. Anyway.
Yeah, tough ones too.
Yeah.
So it's good. 2025, top 5, 2025. It's a good year.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. All right. Well, you can check us out on the web at actorandengineer.com. You can go to facebook.com/actorandengineer. And you can find us on YouTube. Just search for the Actor and the Engineer podcast. We'll see you next time.